Bringing people and communities together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
You can contact us or just keep up to date with travel news at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show.
This is Seclo Sounds, your community radio station. If you'd like to volunteer some of your time and skills with Seclo Sounds, send an email to volunteers@seclosounds.org and let us know how you would like to be involved. MK Flyers Online, the fast and simple way to find any kind of business or service locally. Find us at mkflyersonline.co.uk or download the MK Flyers mobile app from your app store. MK Flyers Online proudly supports Seclo Sounds, community radio for Milton Keynes.
The John Guinn Travel Show. Checking it out before you check in on seclosounds.org. Like many destinations, there are some local taxes that need to be paid, especially in hotels. It's best to check when you book online that your taxes have been paid in advance, or you may have a bill when you try to check out. So when you're looking at hotels, and not just for Manitoba, but for most of North America, find out if there are any extra fees you may be surprised about when you try to check out. Of course, if you're not told about these fees when you check into the hotel, more often than not you can get away with refusing to pay because you weren't told about them before you got your room key. Also, when I was speaking to Guillaume, he said not many Brits actually visit Manitoba. The figure he gave was 2,000, which is very, very, very small for a destination the size of Manitoba. So if you do decide to pay a visit there to see the polar bears, the beluga whales, or hang about in Winnipeg, the chances are when you go down to the pub to tell everybody about your holiday, you're not going to have somebody come up to you and say, but did you try this? Which can be one of the most annoying things when you're telling everybody about your holiday. Somebody trying to be one up on you, but Manitoba, chances are, as I said, nobody would be one up on you. Already talked about the fact there's polar bears, but is there any other sort of wildlife in Manitoba? I'm getting back to Guillaume now to find out. You've already said there's polar bears and the beluga whales, but is there any other wildlife people can see there?
There is a lot actually.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things. I mean, one of the characteristics of the province of Manitoba is that it's got massive amount of water, lakes. I mean, Lake Winnipeg in particular is one of the bigger ones in Canada. You could probably fit the whole of the UK. I mean, England, Scotland, and still have of space in Lake Winnipeg. So it's quite a big one. But then, so you do have lots of fish, lots of different fish species, the northern pike, etc. It's also very famous as a birding destination because it's on the migratory path for millions of birds in North America. And then in terms of wildlife, that's those are pretty specialist. I mean, you get a lot of people fishing and the bird watchers, but then most of our visitors are interested in what we call Manitoba's Big Five, and those are the moose, the black bear, and the bison, and those three you can see in southern Manitoba. And then the last two ones you have to go all the way up north in Churchill, and these are the polar bears and the beluga whales. So the wildlife aspect, and really what Manitoba is famous for are those five species: moose, black bear, bison, beluga, and polar bear.
Okay.
Step into the spotlight with me, Lucy, every Wednesday between 6 and 7 p.m. on Seclo Sounds. I'll have new music, the latest entertainment news, and interviews with local bands. If you're in a band, or if you have music that you think I should be playing, I'd love to hear from you. Email me, lucy@seclosounds.org, and join me every Wednesday from 6 till 7 for Spotlight on Seclo Sounds.
You can contact us or just keep up to date with travel news at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. I'm speaking to Guillaume Post about Manitoba, and we've already discovered that not many people actually fly into the province, and some people get there by other means. We talked about the train, but when it comes to somebody doing a fly drive, how easy is it to get around? I mean, are the roads safe? That's very important if you're looking at doing a fly drive. So we're now going to find out how safe it is and how easy it is to get around by car.
That's a good one. I would encourage people to stay at, probably a couple of nights in 2-3 nights in Winnipeg, and then do a drive to the Riding Mountain National Park, which is 3 hours west of Winnipeg. So very easy to get around. I mean, it's North America. Whether you are, in the US or in Canada, you would find the same sort of very easy driving, large roads, etc. And yes, they are safe and fine. So yes, do the drive, westbound to Riding Mountain National Park. Have a look around. It's one of the joys of Manitoba is the vast expanses of land, etc. And check out the moose, black bear, bison, etc. The roads north of Lake Winnipeg, there won't be any roads. There's a few that go to Thompson. But after that, that's it. It's permafrost. There's no roads, etc. So there's only the railroad tracks that go all the way up to Churchill. So you won't have a lot of roads north of Lake Winnipeg. But it's a good way to travel around, and it's very safe to do so, to drive around.
You just said that somebody should spend 2 to 3 nights in Winnipeg. What would they be able to see and do if they spent that time there?
Do you know the history of Winnipeg, or Winnie the Pooh? You might not know that, but the Winnie the Pooh comes from Winnipeg.
Oh.
It's the 100th anniversary this year of Winnie the Pooh. I mean, he was a soldier from Canada during the First World War who bought a black bear in Ontario, and he called it after his hometown name, Winnipeg. And then that black bear became very famous and was very cute. It was at the zoo in Ontario, and then the author of Winnie the Pooh was quite enamored with that little black bear that he went to see at the zoo, and then he renamed his teddy bear Winnie as Winnie the Pooh. So there is that side of Winnipeg. It's also the it's a very nice town. As I said, there's the Saint Boniface French Quarter, which is quite a nice area of town. It sits at the junction of two rivers, so that makes it quite lovely as well. There's lots of sort of riverfront cafes and trails, etc. It's a medium-sized town, so it's not going to be as big as Vancouver or Toronto, but it's a very lovely town, quite expanding as well. And they've got they've been building this for the past couple of years now, but they've just opened this year the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, which is a very striking building. You have to Google it to see what I mean, with a sort of a tower of glass expanding to the skies, which is called the Beacon of Hope, and that is the first national museum outside of Ottawa. So that would be on the top things to do and see in Winnipeg. You've got the Manitoba Museum in Winnipeg as well, which is one of the best museums I've been to. I mean, if you're interested in Canada history, that's a good one. That's where you've got the replica of the Nonsuch, the British ship inside. Very interesting one. There's quite a few festivals around, and if you're there in the summer, for example, there's the Folk Festival, the Fringe Festival in Winnipeg, which is quite nice. Mid to end July. And plenty of North American sports as well, and yeah.
Seclo Sounds is based at the Old Rectory, the home of our studio partner Interaction MK. They've been bringing arts to life in Milton Keynes for over 35 years. They use the arts to improve the life chances of disabled people and others in challenging circumstances through shared creative activity. These programs help participants to develop creative, personal and social skills. You can visit them at www.interactionmk.org.uk.
You're listening to the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. Canada has some huge lakes, really big. It's like being at the seaside. You just don't realise it's actually just a lake you're looking at. And when you look at pictures promoting Manitoba, they have pictures of Lake Winnipeg, and there's some lovely looking sandy beaches there with people lying on the sandy beach, just like you would expect in Spain or the Caribbean. But when you think of Canada, well, when I think of Canada, I always think of snow. So we're now going to find out if you actually can enjoy these beaches, these lovely beaches on Lake Winnipeg, and we're going to find out if it's actually warm enough to go for a swim or have a paddle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As I said, mid-July, end of July, temperature can go up to, you can easily have a heat wave. It's very common. And even when not in the 30s, it's still pretty hot. So I've swum.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. And I think last time I was there in the summer was in 2011 now. It was 40 degrees, and I was in the town of Gimli, which is on Lake Winnipeg. It's also where you've got probably the biggest Icelandic community in Canada, which is quite strange but amusing. And yes, it was very hot. I mean, we had to take a swim, and it was. So perfectly safe and warm enough to swim in the lake.
Okay, we'll have to give that a try too. That's also going on my list. As regular listeners know, and as you know because you've been on the show before, I always ask about food because I'm very keen on it. Is there a Manitoba dish?
That's a good one. There's always the as I said, the fish. Would be on anyone's list. So things like the Arctic char would be one dish you get served quite a lot, even in Churchill. The local sort of caribou steak or as well. There's not a particularly local dish, but yeah, apart from the Arctic char or the caribou.
So no polar bear fritters or anything like that then?
No.
When it comes to arranging a trip to Manitoba, is it okay and easy to DIY it, or should you go for a tour operator or travel agent?
I would always recommend to go through